We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back, all become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leo Mookie here, back for you with another new part of What If Will Was the Reincarnation of Clive Rossfield. This is part 4, and in the last part, that Professor Edward was able to find out about that of Will's power as that of a dominant, and unwilling to allow somebody who was willing to keep his secret and talents to himself and not to show and not to trust that of the faculty, allowed to stay at that of the school. However, Headmistress Cauldron basically said that he needs to test Will himself to see what he's truly capable of, and if he doesn't live up to that of Edward's expectations, he'll expel him, as there be a duel between each other. Not to mention, Scion's still suffering from the fact that he had to been saved by that of Will to begin with, and taking his frustrations and even keeping a secret that he was even saved to begin with. Not to mention, Will's journey on not just wanting to be by that of Elferia's side, but also wanting to change this magic system. The people that value magic overall, that of those with that of talent and skills and abilities. It's completely different from that of Valistia, and where he finally fought against that of Professor Edward and showed off the other powers of the other icons, and was able to land a scratch on him without even breaking a sweat. Well, without being at least a little bit tired here and there, though. And now, he has gained that of credits for the class that he always sucks at the most. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? As days go by with that of the academy, Will does that of one of his many part-time jobs, actually. Of course, most of the wizards that goes to that of Red Garden Academy have that of sponsors or that of their families pay for everything for them. As for Will, who is basically an orphan and has no sponsors whatsoever, he has to basically find other ways to gain that of money and as well. So yeah, one of those jobs being a newspaper delivery boy, delivering newspapers through that of the dwarf residents within that of the city, actually. It's the only payment that he can do for now that doesn't involve using that of his other forms of magic. While making his rounds, he soon basically meets with that of one of the dwarves who basically lives in the neighborhood and he's friendly with, Mr. Dorn, a pretty built and well-stacked young old dwarf with that of spiky white hair and that of a pretty good beard, as he spoke up to Will saying, "Hey there, Will, doing the rounds as always," with then saying, "Mr. Dorn, it's good to see you." Yeah, saying, "Well, hurry up, young man. If you finish up sooner, we can head to Gina's. I'll give it my all, sir," as he soon runs off even more, as the man finished at a sweeping and heading off too. As for Will, he soon has that at least several other newspapers to deliver. As he's about to trip, he catches each and every one of them, alongside Kiki as well, as showing on how fast he truly has gotten since basically becoming in this world. the old Clive would have basically struggled at least a little bit. But being in this world, Will's reaction time, speed, and power, not even added with that of his dominant abilities as being Ifrit's dominant, he thinks he can handle literally anything. However, one paper did fall. Within him couldn't help but huff and say, well, I'm not fast enough just yet. Within finally looking at the papers, even though he's been delivering them for the past few hours, within realizing, what the? As it being an article on that of Elferia. As the article says, that Elferia, the youngest Amagiavander, creator of that of 12 different forms of magic, has made a request for that of the school of Red Garden, within saying, so even Elfie's doing her best as well. In 12. Seriously, she only needed to make one, and yet she still keeps making even that of 11 more when becoming a Magiavander. Before realizing, wait, what request? As he basically reads over it saying, what the hell? Running towards that of the academy, and soon heads to that of his dorm room, where there he sees that of his blonde-haired and pretty tall roommate, Rusty. Within, Rusty couldn't help but smile, looking at that of Will, saying, well, you're back early. Within, saying, hey, turns out Elfie made a request to the school. Whoever defeats that of a certain ice-type monster within that of the dungeon can gain up to that of 20 credits. If I can get that much, I'll be even closer and closer to become that of a higher ranking Amagiavander. Within, hearing that, Rusty couldn't help but look a little bit disappointed, saying, but Will, don't you have classes today? Saying, huh? Oh, no, I haven't had classes today. Honestly, it's the reason why I was working this morning. As Will says all this while getting on that of his dungeon exploring clothes and outfits. That's why I came straight here, not besides to change. I also need your help too, Rusty. Within hearing that, Rusty couldn't help but smile, saying, you need my help? Saying, even though I know I can take on the monster that I'm looking for pretty easily, I would make this a lot more quicker if I had some of your gadgets, especially your magic artifacts, to be perfect for this job. Within, please. As placing his hands on that of the blonde-haired young man, within he can up say, well, since it's you asking, why not? Before pulling something from his drawer and then tossing them towards Will, within him catching them in the air, saying, truly, you're the best, Rusty. I appreciate it all. As then, grabbing that of his sword with Kiki following after him, within, soon, Rusty saying, oh, Will, you forgot something. Saying, huh? What did I? Before then, shoving that of a bread roll in that of Will's mouth, as Rusty can up and say, good luck out there, giving a smile and a wink. Within, Will saying, yeah, thanks. There he goes again. As Will heads down to the dungeon, which is on that of the 5th floor, as the entire floor is basically coated and filled with that of ice. And not just ice, with also ice elemental monsters, and also some certain other people too, that being the fellow mages and students of Red Garden Academy. Within, Will can up and say, so it looks like everybody already got the news before I did, and yet I'm the one delivering it. How did I miss something like that? Within, seeing in the distance, is that of several ice-type monsters were basically engulfed in flames and melted away, as the person who set them ablaze was Scion. As his lackeys couldn't help but basically, congratulating him and trying to stroke his ego. However, for Scion, on the other hand, he couldn't help but say, no, these were nothing but damn small fries. Unlike that of, as he couldn't help but clench his wand tightly, thinking about Will defeating the evil sentry and showing off that of his powers as Ifrit's dominant. They don't compare to that of that monster and him. If I want to surpass him, no, I will surpass him. I won't fall behind that damn laggard. As Scion continues walking forward, that of his lackeys following after him, Will can up and say, even after all this, Scion is still standing tall and proud of himself. Even though I saved him, and even though he wants to hide the fact that I basically was able to surpass him in something that he can't comprehend, he still wants to try and beat me one way or another. As much as I don't like them, as much as I can't stand him, and I mean I can't stand him, I will admit, as he looks at that of Scion, as he can feel the flames that somewhat draw him to Scion. As his flames of Ifrit call to that of that fire into two things. To either engulf it, to make it burn even brighter than before, to make it rise even farther than anybody, or to snuff it out, to extinguish a flame that never should have existed to begin with. But then, Will couldn't help but feel his flames basically gather around his left hand. But then, Kiki couldn't help but meow, saying, "Fine, Kiki, no need to worry." Before then, he soon heard somebody screaming, as it being that of a young woman being gathered by that of monsters that look like that of demonized penguins. Will blitzing towards them, using that of his flames, as he flame steps towards each and every one of them, stabbing one of them in the chest, before then cutting one in half from head to bottom, and then finishing off with the other one with a horizontal slash, cutting it in two from its body. And then the young girl, who was basically screaming for help, soon noticed that of Will, and noticed that each and every one of the monsters were killed in that of a blink of a second. With then saying, "He killed all three of them so quickly. How?" With then, soon, Will basically removes the blood from his sword before then sending that of a blast of fire towards the monsters as well, and then taking a bit of their cores as well, just in case for the extra added benefit of getting points from the dungeon after all, and putting them in his satchel, saying, "Well, that takes care of that." Before then heading to the girl, saying, "You okay?" Offering a hand towards her, as getting a better look at her, as she has that of a quite petite but surprisingly mature figure, as she has that of big round circular glasses and blonde hair wrapped in that of two twin tails. With then saying, "Oh, I'm fine. Thank you, actually. I appreciate it." As well saying, "That's good. By the way, what's your name? I've never seen you before." Within saying, "Oh, my name is Iris Churchill." Within realizing, "Oh, I know you. You're Will Surford, right? The barbarian fire mage." Within hearing that, saying, "Barbarian. Yeah, that's one of the nicknames people call me. Yeah, I don't use a wand, so I always use my hands to cast spells after all. You can call that barbaric if you want." But then saying, "Oh, sorry if I offended you after all. I also hear that you're quite the book learner and you take a lot of notes as well. And even with that, you still seem like you're able to graduate this year, right?" Saying, "Oh, well, I'm trying. Also, you call me an upper year, so that means you're younger than you're a younger year." Within saying, "Yeah, I'm only 14, saying, as Will thought this, saying, 14? By the estimates, she's 2 years younger than me, which means she's a fourth year." As Will says this, he mentally saying, "Is she a fourth year though?" As he continues to scrutinize her, as the inner Clive inside of him couldn't help but think, by just the look of her appearance, she may seem short. However, there's something about her that seemed like, even if I didn't show up, I feel like she'd be able to handle herself. This could just be my instincts talking or my paranoia, but I shouldn't let my guard down around her just yet." Within, she's saying, "Huh? Is there something wrong?" Within, Will saying, "Oh, nothing. But I have to say, why are you basically following me or walking with me at least? Don't I disgust you, or do you disdain me or something? I mean, you already know about me, and the rumors that are caught about me. So why are you still here?" But then, she having that of a curious and somewhat surprised look, saying, "I don't feel anything towards you." Within saying, "Huh? as she couldn't help but say, I heard rumors that you just can't use a wand to use your magic, that you use it through other means. Not to mention the way that you use your fire magic through other means that no other mage has ever seen. Fire magic to enhance a person's body and also to coat it around that of a sword as well. You don't see that. It's quite amazing, actually. If anything, I see it as quite brilliant. Within hearing that, Will couldn't help but be completely utterly shocked before mentally smiling and even subconsciously smiling on the outside, saying, thank you. There's only a select few people who have ever said that to him ever since being reincarnated in this world. As Will continued saying, so, I'm guessing you're only here to fulfill that of the request from Elfe, right? Within, she's saying, if anything, I wanted to do what I can to help out any Magiavander. I respect all of them, because I too wish to be an elite, one with the ability to hold up the sky for our prosperity. As she says all this with that of her right leg up and in her hand her wand up to the sky. As Will hears this from her, part of him wants to think that she's over exaggerating. However, given how this world is, with that of the Great Barrier that basically allows that of the sky to even be blue, if that barrier already comes down, then that means the world isn't plunged into darkness. However, I feel like there's something more to it as well. This feels like something that Ultima would plan if he was here in this world. Luckily, he isn't. Hopefully. As Will in his own thoughts, that's when Iris spoke up saying, Will, can I tell you something? Within Will getting out of his own thoughts saying, huh? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Saying, did you know that I actually met Lady Alferia? Within saying, huh? Oh, really? Within saying, yes, I remember it so vividly. It was one of the best moments of my life, actually. Even though I was actually surrounded by that of monsters to begin with. Within hearing that, both Will and Kiki couldn't help but have that sweat drops down their faces saying, honestly, given the situation you were in, that makes way too much sense. As she goes into that of details about being surrounded by monsters, before then, each and every one of them being encased and shattered into ice. As the person that saved her being Elfe, asking if she's doing well and if she's okay. Since then, Iris basically idolized and looked up to that of Elferia and wanted nothing more but to serve her. Even though she looks up to all the Magiavander, it's her alone that she will do anything for. As Iris goes into that fangirl mode, Will couldn't help but also sweat drops still saying, that's quite something. Honestly, if I didn't even know Elfie, I probably would be just like this girl. But probably not, to be honest. If Elfie wasn't my childhood friend or the woman I love, I wouldn't probably go this hard unless wanting to achieve my goal quicker, as long as I'm by her side. As he was about to speak up, however, that's when Kiki soon walked off, as wanting to wonder why she's walking off. However, he knows the reason why. With Iris continually speaking, saying, and this is the reason why I'm here. However, unfortunately, I haven't seen a single Ice Walker, the target monster that we're supposed to find. I guess all the other students may have already taken them all out, which means it's useless using search spells as much as you using a wand. As soon as she said that sly little insult, that's when she uses a search spell, as that of a bright yellow barrier soon engulfs her and Will. As the barrier soon fades away, that's when Iris soon noticed Will on that of the ground, saying, what you doing? Saying, normally, when Ice Walkers are around, they leave quite a bit of ice shards, especially when you use that of the snow to find them. However, since I've noticed, these ice shards on the ground are basically bigger and wider than normal ice shards. With Kiki and Will look at each other as they nod, as he continues looking forward. That's when Iris saying, so what does that mean? But then Will saying, it's obvious. There's a powerful Ice Walker up ahead. Within saying, wait, really powerful? As he replies to her saying, yeah, really powerful. Knowing this monster, it's probably using somewhere to camouflage itself from that of the search spell, mainly yours. Within, Iris saying, wait, you're able to know all of this without using a search spell of your own? As Will continues walking, saying, search spells normally use that of wands to basically channel it, after all. I tried using my sword once, and let's just say it did not work well, as he remembers the instant when he tried channeling that of a search spell through that of his sword. Within, it basically backfired and sent out of a huge ringing noise through that of his ears. Let's just say Will was basically hearing that of static in his ears for basically a week now. However, I am still able to use search spells, just not in the more traditional manner. Instead of basically creating that of a meteor around me to sense that of monsters, I use the search spell to channel it through that of the ground, to find things that normal people wouldn't even notice. Within, saying that as he continues walking, within Iris actually completely impressed, as with her mouth basically wide open, before then shaking it saying, wait, how do you know all this? Especially in certain things like, in a certain situation like this as well. Within, as Will continues saying, magic is unique and also convenient, I won't lie. However, it's not absolute. It's not omnipotent and truly overpowering. Everything in this world has its limits. I may not be a normal child of magic, given my circumstances, but I do have knowledge, wisdom, and experience. And most importantly, while mentally saying all this, he prepares that of the magic artifacts that Rusty gave him, putting on that of his goggles, before finishing saying, I am also the dominant of Ifrit. As long as I believe in myself and believe in the person who I once was, that's all that matters. I will achieve my goal no matter what anyone says. With Iris still basically dumbfounded and at shock at that of Will's determination, saying, you really think that? Within, Will couldn't help but say, I do. After that, that's when a giant ice walker, or something completely different, basically comes down from that of the cave and was about to crush them. However, using that of Flame Step, Will grabs that of Iris and Kiki and basically steps away before jumping up into the air at the same time, with Iris completely and utterly shocked, saying, That's no ordinary ice walker. That's an Ice Rex! With Will couldn't help but smirk, before then channeling his flames through his left hand and raising it up, saying, just as I thought, the reason why that of the ice shards were a lot larger than normal. An Ice Rex was here, not an ordinary ice walker. As Iris is completely and utterly dumbfounded in shock, seeing that of an Ice Rex, a powerful version of an ice walker, and mainly specifically here on that of the 4th floor, as it sends a blast of an ice ray towards Will and Iris. He's still in that of his arms. He dodges out of the way in the attack, with bait as the trail and where the attack landed basically creates that of multiple ice spikes on that of the ground. Within, Iris saying, "Oh, that is some true power." Within, letting her down, saying, "I'll handle this." Within saying, "Are you crazy? You may be a fire mage, but you're not a precision fire mage. And if you get close to it, you're going to freeze to death. As soon as you touch it, it will basically freeze you entirely. No wonder you do know it's called that of the dwarf. It's that very reason on why it has the name Dwarf Killer." I'm aware of its nickname, and I'm aware of what it's capable of. However, I've already taken down a Rex before. Within, she's saying, "What?" "I've taken down dozens of them." As he places the artifact from Rusty on that of his right wrist, on that of his right hand, before then bringing out his massive longsword, and then channeling his flames all across his body, before then blitzing towards that of the Ice Rex, as it soon sends another ice beam attack towards Will. He dodges out of the way, however, using that of his flames to coat his body. Whatever ice residual that would hit him or even touch him basically completely melts away. Within him sliding under that of the ice rex, before then jumping up and using the artifact to tangle around it. However, as the ice rex notices this, it soon couldn't help but get annoyed at the fact that he couldn't see Will anymore, as he just randomly unleashes that of ice beams down onto that of the ground and try and, coach him out instead. At the same time, it causes that of both Kiki and Iris to basically run off and try to find cover, as the two continue seeing on what Will is doing, as he dodges each and every one, and even defending himself with his flames coating his body once more, runs to the other side of the Ice Rex, and then using another one of the artifacts to basically throw it around to that of the other side, the right side of the Ice Rex, before doing it again, tying the wire around it over and over, around its legs, around its waist, around its head, over and over, as the Ice Rex constantly getting annoyed at Will basically, running around it. It sends another wave of ice beams towards Will. However, Will dodging each one before then finishing off with that of another tying around. Within having his right arm up, within as his hand begins to basically coat in flames, almost close to that of the wiring. As then the Ice Rex getting annoyed at Will, as he sends that of a cold, icy roar towards Will, as the winds begin to frost over hit that of his body and face. As for Will, his flames keep him warm, with him even spitting out that of flames out of his mouth as well. Ice Rexes are weakened to fire. Sure, I could go all out and basically burn him entirely with that of Ifrit's or even that of Phoenix's power. But why go overkill when I can be smarter after all? After that, as Will channels his flames get bigger and bigger before then grabbing the wire with that of his fire, as the flames from that of the wire head straight begin to coat around it and rush towards that of the Ice Rex. At the same time, the flame, almost looking like that, begin to manifest and also shape and shift and transform, as it almost looks like the head of Ifrit, as it heads to that of the bombs made from the magic artifact, and then it basically ignites them. Add that with the extra added flames from Will, as this being one of Will's newest attacks, using magic artifacts and one of the icon's powers, as he calls this Taurus Charge, as it engulfs and burns away the Ice Rex entirely, completely and utterly eradicating it, as only leaving that of small fragments of the ice, of even melting away its body before leaving around pieces of its corpse, basically showing signs that Will was able to complete his duty and job, leaving only the core, as Will stands victorious over that of his enemy and his prize, as he reel ends that of the grapple hook line. But then him about to struggle to basically catch it. However, he does, saying, "That's what I expect from an artificer of Rusty's scale. Really got to thank the guy the next time I get back to my dorm room." As Will was about to basically gather up his loot, and Kiki basically walking towards Will, that's when Iris, still looking utterly shocked, however, her eyes begin to change and shift. Not like they basically looking different, more like the aura around her, changed. And she couldn't help adjust her glasses, saying, "So, the talentless isn't really talentless at all. Barbaric mage, I was close to being true, but in reality, that is even completely understatement as a whole. He's using magic in ways that normal people would never even think of, covering his bases in both long-range defense and even close range as well. The flames around his body, normally you would think that would be a new mage style, a new spell to categorize. However, that would be that of the fire mage shielding spell, basically coating a person's body entirely in fire magic. However, it normally takes that of using multiple spell circles. He's using raw fire magic entirely to basically to coat his body in fire, while even burning himself in the process. Such control is something else. How do I even report this? As Iris continues having that of a dilemma, while also still reeling from her findings, that's when Will spoke up saying, "Iris." As Iris, shocked from hearing her name, as he has that of tons of cores in his hand, saying, "These cores should basically hold us over. You should grab some as well and head back." Within, she couldn't help but be shocked, saying, "You're just letting me have them? You're not going to have them all to yourself? I mean, why should I? I got enough for that of the job. Enough to help out that of Elfe. No need for me being a little greedy, right? So, let's head back." Within, hearing that from Will, Iris couldn't help but smile. And for some reason, her opinion of Will basically skyrocketed into that of fully on respecting him as a person. As she smiles, saying, with that of her eyes closed, saying, "Yeah, let's head back." With that, they were able to finish that of the task and job with surprising almost everybody that Will was even able to do it. Hell, even Scion was actually downright pissed about that Will gained more points due to all of the cores he had, especially from that of an Ice Rex of all things, showing that the job was finished by Will Surford and Iris Churchill. And the very next day, Iris basically is at the tower, and she couldn't help but basically think to herself, saying, "Will Surfort, he may lack that of magical fundamentals, but he does have great control over his magic. Not to mention, he makes up for it with that of unique ways to counteract monsters. Not to mention his experience in the dungeon and capabilities of handle any kind of monster that comes his way. Plus, using that of magic to basically coat a weapon, especially fire magic of all things. He is both a mage and a warrior." As she stands in front of a large set of doors, before taking a deep breath, saying, "Well, here goes nothing." As she soon opens the doors, she soon stands in front of 5 thrones, as these thrones hold the current Magia Vander. However, one of them is missing. Within, she kneels down before saying, "I humbly ask an audience of you, great Magia Vanders." And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. So, how'd you guys like this part? You think I did it pretty well? I didn't really go into much details with that of the episode this is based off of, and only focus on that of Will's point of view. As for Will, this part was kind of bit point for point for basically how the episode went, and that of canon after all. Not really much changes outside of Will having that of Ifrit's powers. However, due to that of Iris actually being a watcher and basically a recruiter for that of the Magia Vanders, actually has more of an interest in Will more than just him being skilled with that of a sword now. I wonder how the Magia Vanders will take it, knowing of a mage warrior is in that of the academy. So, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos up on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, side channel, other channel, Patreon, and Cash App. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later guys, hope you all take care. Take it away, Shiro.
Hi everyone, this is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!